In today's video, I want to talk about truth, the truth about truth. And some of the things I want to get into are perspective, reality. Is perspective reality? Think about that question. Is that true? Is that a true statement? Is there objective truth and subjective truth? Or is everything subjective? We're going to deal with perceptions of reality here. And I also want to discuss the phrase, "This is my truth." How it's used in society today. It's very popular. A lot of people are using it. They're using it in a lot of different ways and a lot of different tones. So what's really happening there when someone says, "Well, this is my truth," right? Or "my truth." What's going on there? But first, let me introduce myself. This is a relatively new channel, and you're probably a new viewer. So thank you. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I'm Rob Derlitz. I grew up in a Christian cult. Extreme, conservative, ultra fundamental. Everything was dictated to me, threatened to me. I must believe this. And there's a lot of things that happened with that. And as I've gotten older, I've had more experiences, more spiritual experiences, etc. I've gone through different iterations of who I am. I've come to deconstruct and deprogram everything that I was raised to believe. And I've come to a new sense of spirituality, a more freeing sense of who I am. And these videos are sharing different thoughts along that journey, different perspectives that I have, different things that I'm thinking about, things that I've learned along that journey, and also sharing where I am today and where I'm going. And so I like to get into spiritual thoughts, spiritual questions, philosophical questions, things that construct our reality, beliefs that we have or shouldn't have. I want to challenge different ideas and thoughts and also share what is working for me, where I am, and what I am experiencing. So let's get back into truth. Truth is one of those phrases that when we say truth, it's hard to refute. And we get into these arguments about what is true and what is not true. Because what's happening here is we're dealing with the nature of reality. What is reality? And the truth is, back to the question I asked at the beginning of the video, is perspective reality? Right? So I want to create a quick illustration, a goofy one, if you allow me to do so. I want to create an illustration where let's just say I'm sitting in my couch in where I live, and I don't have my phone on me. It's turned off. TV's off. It's quiet. I'm drinking my coffee. I'm sitting on the couch, enjoying the silence, which is something I like to do. And let's say as I'm sipping my coffee and enjoying the silence, all the way in New York City, I told you this is going to be a little bit absurd and silly, Godzilla comes walking out of the ocean and terrorizes New York City. Okay? I'm drinking my coffee, and people in New York City are being terrorized at the exact same time. As I sit there drink my coffee, I have no idea that this is happening because that reality has not entered my reality. Hundreds of thousands of people are being terrorized in New York City by this dinosaur running down the street doing what Godzilla in the movies would do. And everybody's screaming, all of this is happening, terror, etc. And I'm enjoying a very peaceful moment. Because that reality, that perspective of reality by all those people had not yet entered my reality. So it is not true. It is not true to me. It cannot be true to me. It doesn't exist to me. Okay? It exists to hundreds of thousands, millions of people in New York City, but it doesn't exist to me. It has not happened to me. Then, let's say someone knocks on my door. I answer it. "Hey, Rob, have you seen the news about a freaking ancient dinosaur running around New York City?" At that moment, my perspective of reality is forced to shift. They have now given me information that I did not have before. Now, I can choose to shut the door and ignore it, but what I cannot do is ever take back that moment. I've now been introduced to the possibility that a dinosaur is running around New York City. My perspective of reality has now shifted. I was peaceful. Now I have, this could possibly be happening. Is this true? And I have these questions. I can ignore that. I can try to go back to a place of peace, drinking my coffee, but I can never undo the moment that my friend knocked on the door and said there's a dinosaur racing around New York City. My perspective has shifted once I was introduced to that. Okay? Now I can go on to the news. I can go to Twitter. I can start researching this, and it becomes more of my perspective as I absorb the information coming in through the different media sources, etc., the different videos, the credible people saying that this crazy event is indeed happening. Now my perspective is adjusting more and more and more and more to where I'm in Michigan going, this is happening, right? Even though I'm not directly experiencing it, I'm accepting it as part of reality. Let's go to a more simple illustration as well. Let's take a toddler, a little toddler, 3 years old, and the 3-year-old's just starting to learn their numbers, right? 1, 2, 3, recognizing letters, etc. But they're not ready for addition yet. And they've not been introduced to 2 plus 2 is 4. So their reality, their truth is 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4. I don't even know what 2 plus 2 means. So it's not part of their reality, which is not part of their truth. They've not experienced that. At some point when they get a little bit older, a teacher will go, this 2 plus 2 equals 4. They will illustrate why that is true. And that toddler will accept that as part of their reality. They will understand the concept of addition. That if you take 2 pieces of candy and another 2 pieces of candy, and you put them together, you can count 4 pieces of candy. All of a sudden, their perspective of reality has shifted. Their truth of reality has shifted. Their experience of reality has shifted. They've grown. They've evolved. And of course, in the world of schooling, they do this almost every single day. They learn a new concept. They learn a new skill. They learn something new about who they are, about what they want, about what they like, about the nature of reality. But see what's happening here when the teacher tells them about 2 plus 2. There's a whole millions, billions of people agree with that truth. 2 plus 2 is 4. And it's introduced to that child. That child accepts this agreed upon reality, but each person has had to accept that as part of their perspective of reality. And what we're actually agreeing to and calling objective truth is the agreed upon perspectives of reality of millions of people. Okay? So the toddler there is now agreeing through illustration that 2 plus 2 is 4, and now is in agreement with billions of other people that this is true. And then that becomes this sort of objective reality. But that doesn't exist until the toddler accepts it as part of their reality. So, when someone says, this is my truth, now, they could be using it to weaponize people. To say, don't tell me about your truth because mine is better because it's my truth. And they use it to really push people away. Everything in the world is neutral to a certain extent, and we can use it to weaponize and harm people, try to gaslight them that their reality doesn't exist over ours, etc. But the truth of the matter is, that is their truth. When someone says, this is my truth, that is the summation of their lived experience of reality. That everything that they've perceived through their 5 senses, this is how you live in reality in the human, in this physical plane of existence. We experience everything through our 5 senses. We touch and we feel, we smell, we see it, etc. And every time we do that, we're creating more experiences of what we call reality. And what this happens is we become, because of perspective, because Nothing exists until we experience that existence. Okay? The dinosaur running around New York did not exist until I experienced it. The toddler did not know 2 plus 2 is 4 until it grows up and learns that and experiences that information. That is our truth. So when we run around and get mad at people for saying this is my truth, we're also telling them that their truth shouldn't exist. We have to be very careful. And this is what happens deeply with religious and spirituality. We tell people what they should be experiencing, what they should have experienced. And yet, we didn't live their perspective, their experience, their lived experience. We cannot possibly have their perspective of reality. It's impossible. I cannot have your perspective of reality, and you cannot have mine. You can learn about mine. I can share my story, and you can take that just like the young child learning 2 plus 2. He learns it and it takes it into his reality. You can take my story into your reality and learn about it, and it becomes part of your experience, hearing my story, and thus your perspective changes. Maybe now you have compassion for me because you heard my story and stopped judging something that I was doing, right? And this is where I'm getting to, is having compassion to help bring healing into the world, having empathy to stop judging people because we think that what they've experienced, they should have had a different outcome than what they currently have. They should have a different perspective of reality than what they currently have, but we say that they should without ever having their lived experience. We have to stop weaponizing truth because there is no anchor of objective truth. We have agreed upon subjective truths of reality that we agree upon and then make that objective. But we cannot have a perspective of reality outside ourselves, which makes us the center of the universe, which probably doesn't land for you quite right because we're taught to not be selfish and that we're not the center of the universe. The universe is much bigger than us. Yes, that is true in one sense, but we only know that because we've accepted all the vastness of reality of the universe into our perspective of reality. We cannot observe anything outside ourselves. So thus, by definition, we are the center of the universe. So when someone has a lived experience and they say this is my truth, that is absolutely true for them. We cannot take that away. We can help them shift perspectives and give them more information and more input and have discussion. But we cannot tell somebody that experience did not happen. To them, it did. In some way, in some fashion, that's their experience of the world. And we have no choice but to accept it. Doesn't mean we have to go be best friends. It doesn't mean that we have to align with their perspective. That is very much true. We don't have to. But what we cannot do is tell someone they are wrong. That their experience of reality and how they've lived it and the choices that they make is wrong. We can help them make better choices, shift their perspective of reality. So what I'm getting to is the judgment that is used on people and is used a lot through religion to tell somebody that they should have a different outcome from their lived experiences, that their truth doesn't exist, and this truth is what they should have held to the whole time, and they are wrong for not having done so. We are the center of the universe from a place of perspective, from a place of perception. And we cannot know anything to be true until we've observed it and experienced it and accepted that as so. Which also leads to personal responsibility. You are solely responsible for how you live your life. There have been lots of things, traumas and hurts and pains, and a lot of shit's been done to you. And a lot of it wasn't your choice. But what you do now is your choice. What you do with as you start to observe more information, and if you're watching this video, this information is now changing slightly, but changing your perspective of reality. You can't go back to a place in time where you did not watch this video. So, to wrap this up, this is really about judgment, about really, in a way, gaslighting people, condemning people for how they live their lives and the choices that they've made, and demonizing them and pushing them away and judging them from when they say, this is my truth, this is what I know, this is what I believe to be true. And we go, that's wrong. We've not lived their lived experience. They have not lived ours. But can we come together and learn from each other? Can we come together to adjust our perspectives of reality, to take on more information, to take on more experience, to go, okay, yesterday I believed this, I thought this, I experienced this. Yesterday, this was my truth. But in 2 weeks from now, I've had these other experiences, these other conversations. I've read about this. I've watched things about that. And now this is my truth. It's shifted because that information, that experience entered their reality. Let's not judge people over this thing called truth. We all have a different lived experience. We've all lived a different life. No one's lived the exact same life. It's impossible. Not even with your brothers, your sisters, or your family. Nobody has lived the life that you've lived. So, don't feel bad for the choices that you've made, that you fucked everything up. That is your truth. That happened. Things happened to you that caused you to live out your hurts and pains and maybe hurt other people. And yes, there is a sense of guilt. There's a sense of, I did something wrong. But that is your lived experience. What you can do now is start to shift your perspective of reality. And don't let people lord their sense of reality over you. But when you encounter something that is right for you, a new perspective, then take it. Let it change you. Let it change your perspective of reality. Let it change what it is that is your truth. Right? Their perspective of reality, which is their truth, can change you. That's great when you've accepted it. But don't lord truth over people, and don't let people lord truth over you. Life's hard. And a lot of things happen to us that's against our free will. And we have to deal with the repercussions of those things. And this is why there's a lot of chaos in the world. Hurt people hurt people. And the truth of people's lived experiences needs to be healed. The perspectives needs to be adjusted. Things need to be reframed. Things need to be worked through. A healing journey must happen. But to judge people for what they've done without helping them change their perspective, help them heal that, it's gaslighting people. It's telling them the sum of their reality should not equal what they've experienced and what they're saying is their truth. And that's just bullshit. That's just harsh. It's wrong. Because who's to say that the sum of your experiences should be different? It shouldn't be, because this is who you are and this is who I am. But we can still adjust. We can also understand our truth for today and know it's going to shift and it's going to evolve and hopefully heal into new perspectives of reality, into a new understanding of the world around us, into a new sense of truth. So let's evolve my truth through the stages of our life. Let's not lord it and judge people. Yes, we need boundaries. Sometimes we can't be around certain people's perspective of reality. It's not the right vibration. It's harsh. It could be hurtful to us. All of those things are true. But let's not judge people and criticize people. We can challenge people because we're challenging their perspective of reality. But it's the judgment. It's the judgment that is happening throughout society where this is all being weaponized to separate us out. We are all on a human journey. We are all made from God, and God is in us. Everybody is a child of God. We may not be awakened to it, to the spiritual power that lives inside of us. But let's not judge people. Let's accept their truth and help them shift it when that's appropriate, through love and compassion, through empathy, through shared experiences, sharing my story, hearing and listening to their story. Then we learn and grow from each other. Then we learn and heal. Let's use my truth as a pathway of healing, as a mode of understanding each other, as a mode of exchanging love between people that have different senses and perspectives of reality. My truth is a very powerful thing. It's part of the ego. It's part of the I. It's part of makes us who we are. It's a powerful thing. But let's not weaponize it. Let's use it for healing and for love.